Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is time for another challenge over at the Jaded Blossom blog. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's Wishing You Comfort stamp set, the Floral Frame with outline dies, the Spring dies too, and the Polka Dot stencil, because this time the challenge is polka dots. You have to use polka dots. So you have to link that up by May 6th, Saturday of 2023. And you can play along with the challenge. So I'm just quickly doing some mass production of some sympathy cards today, but I do make some birthday cards out of the same design, just in case you don't really want to make a bunch of sympathy cards. So first of all, I am stamping right here onto some paper tray ink lemon tart cardstock with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm stamping just one of the roses. You saw that I already went ahead and stamped the, what's it called? The Floral Frame stamp set that comes with the outline die on a bunch of different colors of cardstock. So I'm using paper tray ink, Lilac Grace, Simply Chartreuse, White, Amethyst Allure, Lemon Tart, and Hawaiian Shores. And I'm just doing a bunch of stamping here because I'm trying to make a card a little bit, make this a little bit more interesting. And I'll be doing that by doing some paper piecing. So here we go. So I did stamp that Floral Frame with the same VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'm going to run it through my Gemini machine. I'm using a Go just to show you on my desk, but I do use I've got one of the original Gemini machines that I keep on my workstation. So I'm just running it through here, just to show you how easy it is to line up this, this stamp set. And it makes a beautiful project. And remember, it comes with a Happy Mother's Day stamp, but you can put anything in the center of that, right? Okay, so I'm just quickly going to, what I did is I cut that frame out of some craft cardstock, and I'm using that as a holder so I can stamp my sentiment on all of these little frames that I pre-stamped. So that first paper there is paper tray ink Hawaiian Shores. And I'm going to be finding or picking out a sentiment that fits in that framed image perfectly. So I'm going to choose Sharing in Your Sorrow. And it's perfect for a perfect sentiment for, for a sympathy card. I always find I hate to make sympathy cards when you need one. A sympathy card is something that I like to mass produce and put them away, and I don't like to think about it. And when I need one and I'm sad, I don't have to create something. So, but this is another way to use it. I'm just going to, I'm using the same card design, but I'm going to make them birthday cards. So I'm using our Happy Birthday So Many Birthdays 5 and outline dies. And because I've chosen to use the purple as my birthday cards, I'm just going to stamp on the Lilac Grace cardstock with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink with just a simple happy birthday sentiment. And then I will cut that out with the outline die. I love that Jaded Blossom is, having outline dies with some of their sentiments lately. Lots of fun. So I'm just going to tape that in place, and I will run that through my die cutting machine. I like to use see-through tape, it tends to come off really easily. So that's what I do. And there you go, right? Isn't that fun? Okay, so now I'm taking the Polka Dot stencil from Jaded Blossom and some Distress Oxide ink. And this one is the Milled Lavender. And I'm just going to use a blending brush, and I'm just going to put some of that ink towards the center of my card. And because I'm mass producing, you see that I tend to do things all in groups. So while I've got that ink out, I will make 4 in each color. So that's the Milled Lavender, a really pretty color of Distress Oxide ink. You'll see that I'm working on my Stampin' Up! Pad as I usually do. And because this doesn't have to be perfect, I'm not putting it down on a stencil holder or taping it in place. I'm just holding it. Okay, so now I'm using the Distress Oxide ink Dusty Concord. That's going to be for the birthday ones. And I'm just going to add them to the center, kind of, lower center and to the lower right is what I was going for. And I've got a Tailored Expressions blending brush there. And I'm just quickly applying this ink. And, you know, not too heavy-handed, but heavy-handed enough that it's, you know, clear. Then I do clean in between inks. And now I'm going to be using Distress Oxide ink in Peacock Feathers to match the Hawaiian Shores cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. So I'm just quickly doing this. So I don't know if you mass produce cards. I don't know, maybe leave me a little message underneath this to let me know if you do. I do sometimes. And I find sympathy cards is the one card that I mass produce the most. I just find it for me, it's the easiest one to mass produce. So now I'm pulling my peeled paint Distress Oxide ink, and that's going to go with the Simply Chartreuse cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. So just quickly blending on these backgrounds. They don't have to be perfect, right? But this is my polka dot element that I'll be using for the challenge over the Jaded Blossom blog. So you're going to want to link up your project over titled over on their blog, and it's in their sidebar. It has the challenge. You can click on that. It'll bring you right to the challenge and you can link your project. So now I'm using Copic markers to just flick on some color on those leaves. So I choose a darker color than the cardstock. So this one is, I believe this is BV08. So I'm just going to flick it on all the leaves. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're just adding on a little bit of definition to these leaves and making them pop a little bit, right? It's because, you know, I'm stamping on just a flat colored cardstock. It's an easy way to make a card. So I'm just flicking these. I actually made a card like this. I believe they were Mother's Day cards on the release. And I really liked how they turned out. So I thought I would, you know, make some, but make them sympathy cards this time. And of course I do use the dark purple for some birthday cards, just in case you want to make this design, but you don't want to make a bunch of sympathy cards. So now I'm pulling out the Copic marker YG67, and I'm just flicking on some green onto my Simply Chartreuse cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. Now remember, this is not a Copic friendly ink, but it did dry overnight. So I don't color across the black. I just try to keep my marker nib out of it, right? So now I'm pulling out with the Hawaiian Shores. I'm using the BG57, and I'm just going to flick that on. Like I said, this is a really easy card set to make. And, you know, a fun way to play along with the Jaded Blossom Challenge. Remember that the Jaded Blossom, Jaded Blossom has a challenge every month. Every second month, it's anything goes, which is really easy. This month, the challenge is Polka Dot. You can interpret that however you like. Remember to check out the rules when you play along. And that's about it. It's really simple, and you could win a stamp set of your choice, which is lots of fun, right? And we'd love to see what you create. So now I am pulling out V25 to flick on some color onto the Distress Oxide ink, onto the Paper Tray Ink Lilac Grace one. There we go. And then instead of yellow, I decided to pull out E34 to add some highlights to these roses. Now, I did some fussy cutting with all of these, right? So I'm showing you when you edge it in black, it blends in. When you don't edge it, I don't know if you can tell, it doesn't look as good, right? So you can see the white edge. I'll show you again. See, the black edge kind of sinks into it. So I do use a Memento what is it called? A Memento Tuxedo Black ink to run around those roses. And I'm going to color in the roses just with a black Copic marker because I'm going to be popping up the roses. And I want the colored rose to kind of disappear behind it. So some of the roses were in the yellow, but otherwise they were in the different colors from the different cards that I'm creating. And I just used those same Copic markers to add some detail to the roses. So now you don't have to do this. This is just me being over the top, but I just kind of want to blank out the roses behind it because when I pop them up with black pop dots, I don't want them to be noticeable, right? Here we go. So, you know, it's pretty easy. And aren't these pretty with the different colored roses? I just think they look so gorgeous. So now I'm going to put these together. So you see I'm using scrapbook adhesives and these are their black pop dots. And I'm just going to use my reverse tweezers to sort of pop these little roses in place. They were very easy to cut out just because, you know, it's a simple shape, right? It's not too difficult. And now I'm going to pop up the whole frame with some 3M foam tape. Now I just love this stamp set and this floral frame stamp set that comes with the outline die. I believe it was a freebie at one point, but I believe it's up in the store now. It is just, I just think it is so pretty. And you could use it for anything. It could be a thank you card. It could be a Mother's Day card. It could be birthday, congratulations, anything. And I just wanted to show you that you can use it that, you know, any way you'd like. So I'm just trying to figure out how much of this layer I'm going to need because I'm going to pop up that little happy birthday. I don't want it to be, you know, I want it to be the same level as my popped up frame. So everything's nice and flat running across it. Do you know what I mean? So I went ahead and I cut out that, you know, the frame for the sentiment, you know, with the outline die. And then I sort of trimmed it down so I can have, you know, I can pop up the edge that's not on the frame. I don't know if I'm making sense, but you see what I mean? That's what I'm doing. That way everything is level when I pop it up with the little scrapbook adhesives black foam squares. So I'm just going to pull off these little squares and then I'll glue down the rest of the sentiment onto the front of the frame. So I only do this, you know, for the happy birthday cards. I just wanted to show you there's another way to use these, but you could literally use these any way you like. But for these sympathy cards, I decide to keep these nice and flat. So I'm just going to use some art glitter glue and I will stick them down onto my, you know, the corresponding card bases. And I do weight them down in between. You'll see there was a boo-boo on the back of that green one. That's cheers to thick cardstock, right? Papeterie Ink has great cardstock. So there we go. And I will weight them down in between. And I just think that this makes beautiful sympathy cards. And there we go. Now this is kind of a longer video, I know, but I kind of wanted to show you all the different colors and how I went about, you know, mass production. And now I'm going to pop up the little roses, right? And I just, you know, I cut them out I stamped them in yellow, and then I stamped them in all the different colors that I used for the floral frames. And then I just sort of rotate the roses, you know, put different colors on the backgrounds just to make them pop. Isn't that pretty? I just think it's so pretty. So I'm just going to get them in place here. Excuse my voice, it's kind of rough today. There we go. And fun stuff, right? So that's how they end up looking. So I go ahead and I stamp this other little stamp that comes with the floral frame stamp set and outline dies. And I'm doing the same thing, stamping it in VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'm stamping 12 because I have 12 cards. And then I will cut them out with the outline die that comes with this. And I'll run it through. So first I'll line it up and I'll tape it down with some see-through tape or easy see tape, whatever you know, and then I'll cut them all out. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the marker. I'm just going to flick on some of that YG67. And these are going to go on the inside of every card, just to kind of, you know, give you a little you know, something special on the inside. Now I'm using some gingham paper. This is called Botanical Butterfly Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up, but just use any gingham, it doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to add one of these flowers to the inside of each of these cards, just for a little something special. Sorry about my voice today, guys. I'm not sure what's going on, but there we go. I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to stick them down. And I will do the same for each card. There we go. Now, all my card bases were made with paper tray ink white cardstock, 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches with my Teflon bone folder. I'm also using a We Are Memories corner chomper, and I'm going to chomp the upper left-hand corner of every card. So now I'm pulling out Nouveau Crystal Drops in Ivory Seashell. And I'm just going to cover up all the little black dots. It's kind of neat. It gives you some ideas of where to put your embellishments. And then I'm going to put a few on the bottom right. And then a few on the upper left of the floral frame itself, like just above it. And you remember, like, I kind of want them to be, you know, flowing up from the lower right to the upper left is the look I was going for. And, you know, just put these aside to dry. And I just think it looks really pretty. And like a relatively fast card and lots of fun, I think, to put together, even though they are sympathy cards, which is not a fun thing. But, you know, we all need them. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog. Be inspired. The Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on these projects and our products. And please play along with our challenge. We would love to see what you create. I just think it's you know, it's a fun challenge, and who doesn't want to try and win a stamp set, right? So that is all. And thank you as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we will see you soon in my next one. Bye everyone.